Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I cannot wait to show you everything that I finished, everything that I'm currently working on. I'm so excited to be back filming this podcast. You might notice a little difference in the background. It's supposed to be like a beachy coffee themed, but I kind of slid my iPad over so that you could kind of see the wall too, because it was getting so blown out. I think because I usually film in the evening, so it's usually dark down here, but it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon now, so the light is shining in through the windows and it was just getting really blown out. So I hope you don't mind seeing a bit of my wall today. I'm just drinking this Tazo turmeric bliss tea. It's actually really good. It's very hot right now because I just made it, but I'm going to set this aside so that you don't have to see it. Let's start with finished objects. Okay, so finished objects. So the first finished object I have is my Valentine socks that I ended up finishing after. So these are the pattern V for Valentine socks by Ellie Jones. I believe it's a free pattern on Ravelry, but I'll have it linked below. I started these on January 20th and I finished them on February 4th. I only have one here to show you because my dog likes to take my socks, and I think he took the other one and hid it under my bed, so I currently can't find it. But I wore these on Valentine's Day and they were super duper comfortable. So I knit these on 9-inch circulars, 2.25 millimeter. And the yarn is Wild Partridge Berries from Windswept Fibers and Design. And it was on her Best Kind sock base. For some reason, I did get a little hole by the heel. That hasn't happened to me since I started knitting socks. But yeah, so I love these socks. They're very comfortable, and in the pattern, in the sock pattern, there's the pattern for the heel, and I really like how it's different than the slip stitch heels that I usually do on my socks. So that is my first finished object. My next finished object is a pair of socks that I am absolutely obsessed with. I swear I've worn them like every day since I finished them, but this is what they look like. These I'm calling them my multicolor socks. I could not find the colorway for these yarns, sorry. All I know is that it is definitely Estelle Yarns sock yarn. I'm not sure what color it was. I looked on Amazon, I looked on Google, I found definitely the brand and all the others of the collection that it was, because I remember what it looked like, but unfortunately I got these last summer and I threw out the label when I was organizing my yarn collection, so I did not keep it and I don't know what the actual color is, so sorry about that. But I knit these on 9-inch circulars, 2.25 millimeter. I followed the vanilla sock pattern from the Crazy Sock Lady. Again, I'll have all patterns linked below. I cast these on February 5th and finished them on February 19th, so I knit them fairly quickly. But this is what they look like, and they're not completely identical, as you can see. It doesn't really bother me if my socks aren't perfectly identical or symmetrical. I kind of just, wherever I end one sock off, I immediately just cast on the other sock. From there, it doesn't bother me. But these are absolutely so comfortable. So that's why I was kind of mad that I couldn't find the exact yarn, because I wanted to know what it was. But I'm guessing it was probably 75-25 of something. But yeah, so these are these socks. I've been wearing them every day. Super comfortable. And I love them. Okay, this next finished object I am super duper excited about. I'm so glad I got it finished. What way is it? I finished my Woolly Waffle Shawl by Stephen West Knits. This is what it looks like. It's ginormous and it's so comfortable. Super duper comfortable. I've been wearing it so much. I have a shawl pin, but what I like to do is kind of just tie it like this, and then I just wear it like that. Let me see. Yeah. So I started this on December 13th, and I remember it was December 13th because that was the day of my final exams last semester, and I immediately came home from my pharmacology exam and cast on this shawl. Make sure I hold it the right way. Yes, so I've talked about this in my last 2 episodes. So I'm just going to go over it quickly. So the pattern was the Woolly Waffle Shawl by Stephen West Knits. It is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry. This top color here is Trinity Lupins from Windswept Fibers. All of these are from Windswept Fibers, actually. So we have Trinity Lupins, and then this next one was George Street, again by Windswept Fibers. Then this color down here was Better Days by Windswept Fibers, and then Pink Days in Bloom. And this pink color actually is what inspired me to make this shawl, because I had gone to a craft fair and bought a skein of the solid pink color, and I was originally going to make socks, and then I was like, no, that color would look really good in a shawl. So then I was debating, like, do I order, 3 more skeins of this pink color and make a solid pink shawl, or do I kind of make something more fun? So I hopped on her website, and I was looking through, like I do almost every day. I was looking through at all the colors, and I just loved how all of these looked, and I thought they would look perfect together, so I chose those. So I started this on December 13th, and I finished it on February 22nd. It is so comfortable, so comfortable. I knit these on, I don't have the needle size. I think it was 3 millimeters. I want to say it was 3 millimeter needles. I'm pretty confident in saying that. So yeah, this is what it looks like. I'm obsessed, absolutely obsessed with all these colors together. This is the first shawl I've ever made for myself. Definitely my first fingering weight shawl. And it's funny because I have this thing where I look on Ravelry, find knitting patterns that I want to make, and I just look at the picture. I don't look at the needle size you need. For this one, I did look at how many skeins of yarn I would need, and then I was knitting it, and I was like, wow, like I finished the first color, and I was like, I have so much left. Why is this? I went back and looked at the pattern, and it's for DK weight. So this shawl is really supposed to be a lot bigger than this, but I knit it in fingering weight because I didn't realize it was supposed to be in DK weight. So yes, but I absolutely love it, and I have tons of leftovers, so you'll see some that I'm using now. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about are my fingerless mittens. So, my fingerless mittens, the color I used is the Trinity Lupins that I had left over from my shawl. I'm going to put these on to show you. So these are the Warm and Simple Mittens by Sandra Voss, and they're fingerless mittens. Show you. So you knit the rib longer. And this, I think it is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry, so I'm not going to give away too many details. But you knit the cuff on top longer so that it kind of covers your fingers. And to be honest, I probably could have added a few more rows onto mine to make them completely cover my fingers. But I was excited to get them done. And then you kind of just fold it over. I did a terrible job at folding them over, but you fold them over and they can be like completely fingerless mitts. And then you can put them up and wear them like that. I kind of slide my hands down when I'm wearing them so they fit better. But these are super fun, and I wanted to make mittens because what I had left over from my shawl wouldn't have been enough to make a pair of socks. And I really wanted to see how the yarn would knit up in a smaller garment where it wasn't as wide, because the colors pool differently. So I absolutely love these mittens. And for some reason, I think I got my glove a bit wet and the dye bled a bit. Let You can see like right in the pocket of the thumb, but it doesn't really bother me. So yeah, these were my mittens, and I started these on January 27th and finished them on February 25th. So I wasn't working on these a whole lot. I would do like a few rounds every now and then. So yeah, I think that's all I had to say about those. So warm. I wore them to a hockey game the other night and it was perfect. Okay, my last finished object, I actually didn't bring it down here because it's for my dog, and in true Wallen fashion, he got it dirty. So I finished my Advent blanket that I was making from the yarn that I got in the Advent calendar that my aunt made for me. So I finished that, and I'll insert a picture if I can find a good picture. I didn't really get a good picture of it. It is on my Instagram if you want to go check it out. I'll link my Instagram and my TikTok down below. I only had 4 more colors that weren't part of the Advent calendar to add into it. And it's a fairly big blanket. So I started it on, I wrote down December 1st. I think it was more like December 2nd or 3rd. But I picked it back up and finished it on February 23rd. I didn't follow a pattern. I chained 150 and then single crocheted in just each stitch across for the whole blanket. For most of the mini Advents, I got, I think it was 10 rows out of each of them. 10 rows, and then if there was a little bit left over, I just put it in my stash to do like different scrappy blankets with. So that was my last finished object, and it felt really good to get that done because I felt like it was just sitting in the bag and I had no motivation to work on it for whatever reason. But then I picked it back up and it just flew. And so yeah, finished that on the 23rd. You'll notice a lot of my finished objects and things that I've started that I'm currently working on were all done within the week of like February, like Valentine's Day until like today, which is March 3rd. And that's because we had midterm break from the week of like the 19th to the 23rd. And then the week before that, we pretty much had the whole week off because we had a bunch of snow and my clinical was canceled, my clinical research was canceled, both of my classes were canceled that week. So while I was still working on schoolwork, I had a lot more time to knit, so that's where a lot of this came from. Okay, so now we can move on to works in progress. So I'm currently making a pair of no, it's not 100%. I'm currently making my pop a pair of alpaca socks for his birthday. I'm going to tell him not to watch this podcast, so I'm not spoiling anything. But his birthday is May 2nd, so I'm currently working on these socks. These I started on February 16th, and yes, so I started them on February 16th. This is still the first one. I haven't done too much on it. I'm knitting these on 2.75 millimeter 9-inch circular needles. And to be honest, I don't think that was a great idea because it's fine now where I'm almost done the decreases, but this yarn is pretty thick. And I thought that 2.75 would be like big enough needles because I didn't want it to be too big because alpaca is stretchy. Yeah, I didn't want it to be too big, but now it's almost like there's too many stitches on the 9-inch circulars. I should have done magic loop, and maybe I'll have to order a pair of like 16-inch to do, or like 32-inch or whatever, 2.75 millimeters to do the second one. But it's not too bad now that I'm back to my count of 72 stitches. And I did 72 because I didn't want them to be too small. I would rather his socks be too big than too small, because last time I made him a pair, they were too small. So I'm just doing ribbed socks. I did 40 rounds for the leg, and I'm not sure how many rounds I'm going to do for the foot. He wears a size 12, so it's gonna have to be fairly long. But I love I'm glad I did rib, because now you can see like the different stitch definition in like the bottom of the foot versus the rib. I haven't done that much work on it because I said I started these like February 16th. It's really hard on the hand, so every now and then I'll just do like 1 or 2 rounds because I find it really hard on my thumbs. But I have lots of time, so I'm not too worried about the deadlines. Maybe I'll work on these a bit later. So yeah, that is these. The yarn I'm using is from a local, what do you call it? It's like a local yarn. I don't think she's a yarn dyer because I don't think this is dyed. Just a local, I don't even know what to call it. But she sells alpaca yarn. She has alpacas, so she sells them. It's not 100%. It's set, I think it's like 85% alpaca. No, 65% alpaca. 65 maybe. 65% alpaca, and then it has, I want to say like superwash merino maybe. But it's super soft, and I really love how it feels. Feels super soft. It's not itchy or anything, which I find I was worried about with alpaca. I was worried how I was going to find like knitting with it. But yeah, that was really rambly, but I had a lot to say about these. So yeah, it's a bit hard on the hands, but it's going to be so worth it because these are going to be awesome. And I bought 2. This is what I have left of the first ball. Definitely wouldn't have got 2 pairs of socks out of it. So I'm hoping I can even finish this sock with it. I think I will. But I have another one for the other sock. And they came in 100 gram skeins. So Black Label Farms. Love it. I will say it does shed a lot though, but that's to be expected with alpaca. And I'm just knitting these in this knitting bag that I got for Christmas. Well, actually it's not a knitting bag. It's just like, it doesn't have pockets or anything. It has the Northern Lights on it, and it's beautiful. And my pop also bought that for me, so I figured it was fitting to put his socks in there. So the first crochet project I'm going to show you is actually a baby blanket. So this is, yes, this is what it looks like currently. I have a good bit done. It's going to be a bit longer. I'm going to use up completely the 2 balls that I have, I think. So this is just a nice crochet chevron pattern. I'll link the pattern I'm using down below because it's not for like a baby blanket. It's just a chevron stitch. So I'll link that down below. I don't even remember how many I chained for this one, but it says in like a multiple of 12 or something. And the yarn I'm using for this is Bernat Softy Baby. This blue color is in the shade Pale Blue, and this yellow is called Lemon. And I started this on February 11th. So started on February 11th. I'm still working away on it. But I love how it looks. I've done knit chevron baby blankets before, but I've never done the crochet one. So I have to say I've really been enjoying this, and I'm using a 5mm crochet hook. I'm not sure what size this yarn calls for, but I'm using 5mm because I like the fabric that it gives me. Okay, so while we're on the crochet train, I started a scrappy granny stripe blanket. I got this idea from the Crazy Sock Lady because I saw her working on it, and she just recently got her blanket cut up, and just seeing her working on it every day really inspired me to start my own, to ignore that, to use up some of my sock yarns. So you'll see that's what I've done. I've just been using up my sock yarns, and I put it into a magic knot ball. This looks like it's entirely red right now, but I don't know if you can see there's like other colors underneath it. So I've started another magic knot ball for when I get this one finished, but I've actually really been enjoying it. It's such a simple pattern. Again, I'll have her project page linked down below. She shared the video that she used, and I chained 300 just like she did, and it is huge. It's going to be a ginormous blanket, and it's all fingering weight, so I know it's going to be super duper cozy. And yeah, I like to crochet blankets. I'm not a crocheted garment kind of person, or like to crochet like plushies or anything. I like to crochet blankets, as you can tell. So I started this on February 18th. So I've done quite a bit. I'm going to use it for my Scrappy Sunday, so I might work on it a bit later. But sometimes I just pick it up and go to town if that's what I feel like doing. Okay, my next work in progress is actually my Avena sweater. So I did start my Avena sweater, and I'm not that far into it really. But this is what I have done so far. Wait, let me see if I can hold it the right way. Okay, so this is the top. It's kind of hard. It's buckling because it's on a small needle. But this is what it looks like, and it's just going to look like that the whole way around on the top. I started this on February 9th, so not a lot of work for starting it on February 9th, but again, I find I do like maybe 1 or 2 rounds a day lately, because I find this is also really hard on my hands. And I think it's just because color work. I've watched so many videos on how to not make your color work like tight so that it doesn't like buckle or whatever, but for whatever reason I just can't do it. So I'm kind of worried that once I'm finished the color work section and I'm actually into the body, that it's gonna look like it's cinched in. So hopefully I can block that out. This is what it looks like up close. So I forgot to write down the colors that I'm using, like the names of the colors, and the yarn I'm using, but I will pop it up on the screen anywhere here now. And I'm just keeping this in this random knitting bag that my mom gave me for my birthday. It just looks like this. It doesn't have any pockets or anything. Well, it does have like a front zipping pocket, so that's nice. The pattern is the Avena sweater by Jennifer Steingass. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it, I have to say. I was a little bit confused when I first started it because the chart that's there, it incorporates your increases. So there was a bunch of X's in the pattern, and when I looked in the legend, it was like, ignore these stitches, they don't exist yet. And I was really confused and I was just getting frustrated. I couldn't figure it out. So I posted on my story on Instagram if anybody knew what it meant, and I had tons of people coming to my rescue explaining to me what it meant. So then I finally got it cast on, and I've just been knitting away on it since then. So thank you to everyone who replied to my story and helped me out. I truly appreciate it because I was getting ready to throw in the towel. So another work in progress. I started another Musselburgh hat, and this is what it looks like currently. Can you see this color? It's beautiful. So this is another color from Windswept Fibers in the shade Labradorite. It's beautiful. And this is, I don't have it written down, but it's on her like silky sock base, I think it was called. So I started this on February 24th, and I've been using this as my knitting that I do when I read in the morning, because I knit and read in the morning. And I tell you, I've read so many books since I've learned to knit while I read, or I guess read while I knit. It's actually crazy. Like, I love reading, but I love knitting more, so now I can do both of it, and it's awesome. And I'm just knitting those on 3mm needles, 32-inch cable. And I just have this in a knitting bag that I don't remember where I got it, and there's a hair on it. But it just has butterflies on it, and it's really cute. Then I have another work in progress, another pair of socks. And let me show you the finished one first. So this is another one that I couldn't find the label for because I ordered this yarn on Amazon like the beginning of last year. So I started these a couple weeks ago, but this is I know it's like the Regia design line by Arnie and Carlos, and I ordered it on Amazon. So it's like a self knitting sock, I call it. So you start, there is a yellow, ooh, there's a yellow start at the center and the end of every ball of yarn. So you wind that off, and then you start with the first color, so this purple color, and then you do your ribbing for your cuff until it changes to the actual pattern part. So this cuff is extremely long. I've knit a pair of this before and the cuff was not this long, so I don't know what's going on. So then I knit the leg, and then when the color changed again, I did the heel, and then I just did 50 rounds for the leg, that I usually do, my 50 rounds for the leg, and then it changed to the purple for the toe. So it actually worked out pretty good for this one. The last pair that I knit from like a sock yarn ball like this, there was a lot of the toe color in the foot because I knit the foot longer. I knit these on 2.25 millimeter magic loop, so I think it was like 32-inch cable, or I have it here actually. Yes, 32-inch cable. And yeah, so that's what it looks like. And then I'm started on the second one. I'm just currently in the middle of working on the cuff, and this is what I have left. So this is what it looks like. You'll see the yellow. That would be that's hopefully going to be where I'm going to finish the toe on this second one. And I just have these in my sock bag that I got from my aunt in my yarn advent calendar, and it's from Midwest Stitches. So it's perfect, and it has a little space inside where you can clip your stitch markers, so it's really cool. So that's those ones. The next one I'm going to show is another kind of, I wouldn't say scrappy blanket, I would just say it's another kind of blanket. To be honest, I haven't done too much on this one. It's just a gigantic multicolored blanket, I guess you could say. Currently doing orange now. This was, I don't even think I still have the box. I just have the yarn. This I got from Wool Trends, which is a local yarn store, and it came in, I'll put a picture and the name up on the screen, but I can't even remember now what blanket kit it was, but it came with the pattern to make all these different like cable motifs, and then you sew them together. And I did start it, and I had like a bunch of colors done. I'd say I had probably like 10 or 12 motifs done. And then I just got really bored with it because it was a lot of cables, and it was just really intricate, and it was one of those things where you really had to sit down and focus on the pattern. And if there's something like that and it's like a long-term project where you really have to focus on the pattern, I'm not really into it. Like I lose my motivation for it pretty quickly. I'm a pretty simple knitter, but I really like the yarn and I wanted to use it up, so I just decided to knit it into a gigantic blanket. I started this like last summer, maybe like last May. So, and I haven't counted how many stitches I have on here, so I will tell you in the next episode if I keep knitting on this. But there's just a whole bunch of like leftover yarns that I have that I'm eventually going to incorporate into the blanket. And I picked this back up, I don't know, definitely over the break, but since I picked it back up, that's all I've done, so hasn't been a lot of work. I picked it up because at the time I was doing a lot of reading and I didn't have the yarn for my Musselburgh hat, and all my socks were like on the heel, or they were like the ribbed socks for my pop. So I just picked this up for easy knitting while I was reading, and then I haven't really touched it since. So that's that, and then I have one last work in progress that I want to show that I actually started last night, and for some reason I just got the itch to make another Stella quilt pillow. And again, I'll link the pattern down below. It's by Laura Penrose, Penrose Knits, and this is all I've gotten started. I just picked up the third square. I think that's upside down. Nope, that's right. So I'm just using this opal yarn. I think it was just there. Actually, there wasn't a colorway on this one. It was just a number, but it is the opal sock yarn. So that's the white I'm using. And then this pink is the Pink Days in Bloom that I had left over from my shawl. And so that's going to be for like my outside petals. And then the inside petals on the flower, I'm going to use the George Street colorway that I had left over. And I think that's just going to be such a cute pillow. And I just got it in my head last night, so I cast it on really quickly. I'm not sure what size needles these are. I just picked them out of my yarn bin and kind of just used them. They're a cable needle, small cable needle. And when I do have to pick up all the squares to knit the back of it, I think I'm just going to use a 3mm because it's definitely bigger than 2.5. So I think I'm just going to use a 3mm to do the back. And that is all of my works in progress. Very quickly, I realized as I was looking over here that I forgot a finished object. I just knit 3 dishcloths. That's what I forgot to show you. So I knit 3 dishcloths, all the same color. Again, I'll link my dishcloth pattern down below. But I try to do at least 2 dishcloths a month, just to try and build some up for Christmas, to give out as Christmas gifts. It's Bernat Handicrafter cotton. I just got it at Walmart, or my nan gave it to me. She got it at Walmart, and it's in the color, you can't see that, marble print. So it's a really nice colorway, and that's just the update on my dishcloth. So that is all that I had to show today. Lastly, I just wanted to show one skein of yarn that I also got when I picked up the Labradorite color. So originally I had ordered the Labradorite colorway online, and I went to go pick it up, and then I saw this color, and it is stunning. It's called, oh, this is backwards, but it's called Cape Spear Sunrays, again from Windswept Fibers, and it's in the Paradise Silk Sock 4-ply. So this is the same as the Musselburgh hat. So it's 50% silk and 50% non-superwash merino wool, 100 grams. And it's just beautiful. And yes, it's called Cape Spear Sunrays because if you live in St. John's, you'll know what Cape Spear is. It's a lookout place. So it's beautiful. I cannot wait to do something with this. I think I might either knit another Musselburgh when I'm finished that one, or maybe I will make a pair of socks because it is a silk sock base. So we will see. But it is absolutely beautiful, and I would love to have a sweater in this. But yeah, so I just wanted to show that. And that's really all I had to show for today. I wanted to have just a quick little chat because, so it is March now, and that means that exam season is approaching us. I'm in nursing school, so our exams are like the beginning to middle of April. I have my med-surg final exam on April 11th. I have my microbiology final on April 16th. So March is going to be a pretty busy month, just preparing everything for final exams. Plus we also have to finish up our clinical. We have skills testing that we need to prepare for, lots of labs, lots of studying, lots of practice. So I'm not quite sure how much knitting is actually going to be done in March, and I don't want to put the pressure on myself to work on lots of things, lots of complicated things, such as my sweater, and, well, I guess that's really the only complicated thing, but I see a lot of socks in my future, and I'm just not sure how much knitting time I'm actually going to get. So what I was thinking was that around the last week of March, I'm going to reevaluate where I am at my knitting. And if I have enough, works in progress, finished objects to show for a podcast, I will sit down like I did today and film another podcast. But if I find out that I just have just some dishcloths done, maybe I've only finished like 1 or 2 pairs of socks, and I won't have that much to talk about. And I don't get like a lot of work in on blankets or anything. I was thinking I might film sort of like a knitting week in the life and have that be my March video, and then we can get back to it at the end of April when I have a bit more knitting time. So we'll see. That's just my thoughts. Let me know down below if that would be something you were interested in, just to kind of show you how I incorporate knitting into my day-to-day while I'm in school, because I'm not sure how much I will have finished or how much more I will have to show. But anyway, I think that's all I had to talk about today. So yeah, it was nice to talk to you guys. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this video. It really helps me out. And feel free to check out my knitting Instagram. I post over there a lot. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.